I'm Gavin, and welcome to MLS Fantasy Picks. What's going on, everyone? Let's get into our 2024 Round 1 MLS Fantasy recap and analysis. Just need to open the app, and tokens expired. Sorry guys, had to do it. Not sure if you guys use the app for fantasy, but this has been a frustrating bug the past few days. I think it's because of the new account system that the MLS has set up. Either way, hope they fix it soon. Let's get into things. I ended the week with 136 points for round 1. I had a week rank of 31 and an overall rank of 31, with it being the first week and all. My budget increased from 100 million to 103.4 million. For the weekly recaps this year, I'll be walking you through exactly how I initially set up my team, and then as the games went by throughout the weekend, I'll show you how I made my changes to my team to get to my final result, my final points. So yeah, looking at my keepers getting started. So I did have Drake Callender on my bench, and the reason was in case, he got injured in that early Miami game, which was on Wednesday. So this Miami Real Salt Lake game, regular season game, if Drake Callender got injured or anything, I could then, substitute someone else on. But by having him, on my bench, I could see exactly how he was doing, and he did great. So that first game, he got a clean sheet. So just definitely wanted to keep in Max Anchor, who was on a bye. So with him being on a bye, there's no risk of Callender's points not coming off the bench. So that's sort of what I did for my keepers. Defenders, this was my initial setup. I had Justin Glad as my sort of double game week defender. Again, he had that double game week. He's a decent center back. I thought he'd get a good amount of points. I think he ended on 6. It's fine, nothing crazy. But then I also had Privet and Malanda on the bench. And the reason was they were both 4.5 starting defenders. So in the early game, they want those low price defenders. So if they have a great game, which they both did, they both got clean sheets and some bonus points, they will then, continue to have that price change. So even after this plus 5 or 500K, I'll assume that they'll get another 500K after the next game week, but we'll see. So that worked out great. So, I had Glad, nothing's changed with him, his points went, but then I got the clean sheet from both Privet and Malanda, and their games were at 7:30. So that's a key piece, is knowing what times they started. So they're both at 7:30. So since they're at 7:30, I saw those previews before, the late Saturday night game with McGraw, and then the late Sunday game for Cincinnati. So in fantasy, you need at least 3 defenders. So I had to scrub both McGraw and Halsey to make sure I got both of these guys points. So I think I put in a Minnesota defender. So I went in, I saw this guy, I think got loaned out to some Swedish club. So I put him in. And then I didn't want Halsey anymore. So who did I go with? I ended up going with Edwards from Colorado. So yeah, that was sort of my defense taken care of. I knew I had the clean sheets with Privet and Malanda, and they would both sub on because Marquise wasn't going to start. So for the Colorado-Portland game, what I did, I checked Twitter, and I saw that Edwards was not on the starting lineup or on the bench for Colorado, so he'd be a safe scrub. There's no chance of him subbing on, so I put him on the field. Let's take a look at my midfield. So I had Luna, Gomez, Torres, Gostog, and Luciano Acosta starting things out. Luna and Gomez had that game Wednesday, so they're locked in. And then Messi and Arango also locked in. So I'll get to forwards next. But with my midfield, I normally don't do this, but I ended up scrubbing Gostog because there was that early game on Saturday at 2 o'clock between Columbus and Atlanta. So what I did, I saw Cucho's score on the Sunday, and both of these guys were locked because they played Wednesday. So I basically had Torres, Gostog, and Acosta to work with. So this was before I saw that Charlotte game. So I anticipated needing to scrub Gostog because I would need these two to come off the bench. to replace these two. So I normally don't scrub midfielders, but in this case, I thought Orlando had the better matchup. I wasn't too sure. I wish I kept Gosdog, but I scrubbed Gosdog, and I put in, I think it was one of the Vancouver midfielders. He was on a bye, so then that way Cucho's points would definitely come off. And then, yeah, Messi and Arango, they both started Wednesday. They're both locks. They both put up great points. So in the end, this is my final team. I had Calendar's points coming off the bench because he was on a bye. Glad had both of his points. And then Marquise and Edwards were both scrubs. He's loaned out and he never played. So then Privet and Malanda both subbed on. Luna locked, Gomez locked, Torres played. I had Cucho sub in for this guy. And then, I waited for Acosta because he is a great fantasy player. Got us 8 points. Solid performance from Lucho. And then, Messi and Arango locked. Let me know, guys, if you have any questions and if this was helpful. Let's jump into some, findings, learnings, all from a fantasy perspective after this first week. So, let's look at scores. You usually want to bet on your home teams. Can't see too much from a defensive standpoint. Sort of all over the place. Not a lot of clean sheets. I think we had, Orlando, Montreal, Charlotte, Columbus. A couple clean sheets on the Sunday. So, nothing too crazy from a defensive standpoint. I don't think there were too many cheap keepers that got the start and the shutout. Let's look at defenders. So as I said with Malanda and Privet, their score will probably go up. I don't know if you want to take them, away in Vancouver. But if there's any good, let's see. Go back to our defenders. Kristoff crushed it. +5, definitely. So there'll be some good picks you want to keep an eye out for. We didn't learn, too much. Miami's all right. A lot of away games for defenders that scored well last week. But I will be walking through my picks in a later video. So looking at midfielders, top scorers. Gutierrez, pretty well for only a 7.5, now worth 8. Heel obviously crushed it. Herbers, still not impressed really, especially being a Union fan. Not too much, not too many huge standouts from a fantasy perspective. It's still earlier in the year. Messi still crushing it. Let's take a look at some forwards. Benteke, that was fun to see, a hat trick early on. Sealy could be a good pickup, depending if he starts, but 10 points. Was a 4.5. He'll definitely keep getting you price rises after that 10-point performance. So keep an eye out for those, low price, high performers, because those are the guys that are going to get you, a lot of budget increase, price rises to help you keep getting more budget so you can afford better players. Or more expensive players. All right, so that wraps up my round 1 recap and analysis. Hope it was helpful. I'll be sharing my round 2 player picks in the coming days, so keep an eye out for that. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Leave a like, leave a comment, and thanks everyone for being part of the MLS Fantasy Picks community.